Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm this dad's platinum journey, and today we're going to be taking a little look back at 2022 and going into the future for 2023. Now, I know it's been a little while since I've made one of these videos, and huge apologies for that first of all, but I hope you'll forgive me because it's been a bit crazy for me the last sort of 6 months or so. If you follow on my socials, you'll know that I've become a dad for the third time, so my house is just a little bit insane right now. We've had a good Christmas, had a good New Year, we've made it through, we got there. You're seeing the tidy part of the house right now. Everything else is a little bit of a bomb site, but that's just how it is. We'll get things sorted out. And the other thing that's happened really as well is I am still making videos. I'm making videos for FF Union. Just a fantastic Final Fantasy channel, as you can tell. I love me some Final Fantasy. So I'm actually making videos there. So if you want to check out any of my stuff, do sub and go over there. I will be sharing which videos I'm working on my socials. So when they goes live, you'll be able to kind of go and check out my work, if you're still interested in seeing some stuff. But I am looking to try and get more stuff out on the channel now. I've kept streaming, so you can obviously catch me every Friday. I'll be streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake. At the moment, we finished Final Fantasy X a little while ago. We actually got our hands on an early copy of Crisis Core Reunion, which was really great experience, kind of like being able to kind of like promote that game. So we'll delve into that a little bit as well. So at the start of this year, I had a goal. I wanted to get to 50 platinums by the end, and that was to obtain 19 within the year. Now, last year was probably my best gaming year in terms of platinum hunting I've ever achieved, which was 20 platinums that I managed to get done. So it seemed realistic for me to do that, but with everything that's been really going on, I haven't been able to hit that target, and I didn't want to go for the grubbies. I didn't want to get it that way. I refused to get the grubbies. And I'm actually quite proud. I haven't really been tempted to do any stacks. I'm doing some stacks, but I'm trying to get them the long way, because I really love the game and I want to play it twice. So getting the trophy list twice is something that's important to me. So I've actually managed to get up to 43 platinums. 44 platinums. So I've actually managed to get up to 44 platinums, which is up by 13. So it's not as much as I wanted to do, but it was definitely as much as I could probably get out of the game in. But we're going to run down what those 13 were. So here we go. So we started the year really sort of red hot. I just got myself PlayStation Plus, sort of, I suppose what it would have been there was PlayStation Plus, but it's moved on to Premium now. Just got myself PlayStation Plus, and the first game that was on there was Lego DC Super Villains. I was still making videos when I was doing this one, so you could probably go and check out my actual in-depth thoughts and feelings on this one. This was a game that had really kind of like two halves to it. The story mode is really fantastic. I really loved it. I always like Lego games. They're really fun to play through. It's just the open world kind of really, it's a real grind. It took absolutely forever to kind of get around and do absolutely everything in this world. Some of it's fun and some of it's just a bit tedious. But overall, they're always a fun experience, but you know, sometimes just playing the story is just enough for these. They're really, that's what I'm going to get out of that game. So next up on here was some of the games that I'd sort of picked up like over Christmas. First being Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now, when you want to talk about games that have really sort of set a standard as to what the PS5 can really go for, this is what it is. It is kind of considered a bit more of a tech demo to kind of how the game plays, but in all honesty, that's what I love about it. It is an insanely good game. It's super fun. The story is a Ratchet and Clank game. It's not going to be, you know, The Last of Us Part 1 or anything like that. But it does the job, and it's so fun to go around and explore these different worlds. The technological achievement that this game does bring is out of this world, quite literally out of this world. I loved every minute of this. And I went beyond the platinum to kind of get the 100%. I wanted to get all the gold bolts and all the sort of suits and armors and things like that. You just have to go out there and do it all and experience it all. So a real thumbs up from me. This was a bang good job from Insomniac. So the third game we're going to talk about briefly here is Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I took my time with this game. I actually took a real long time because this was a game that I've been streaming for probably about 4 months. I think it's all still up on the channel. So if you want to go and check up like my full stream, like feel free to go and check it out. It's obviously going to be quite a long series, but if you're interested, it's sort of there for you to better go and look. I'm not a massive fan of open world games, I've got to say, not a fan, but this open world was just beautiful, and that's what I kind of like about it. It's a world I want to be in, and that to me is kind of the essence of what open world should really kind of strive to be like. You want to be immersed within there, and the things to do was just so satisfying. And to me, and I don't want to spoil too much like out of this, but there's a certain point in the game where you get like an ability that can kind of activate in battle, and when that happens, oh my word, it is just incredible. I loved it so much. This again is just one of PlayStation's. For me, this deserves some more into it. I think we're sort of like begging for this to kind of get a sequel. This is just too good to kind of like just stop here. I want to see what this world can really bring in a sequel. Okay, the next game we're going to talk about is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Again, I've got a video up on the channel. This is sort of the last sort of thing that I kind of did going up onto it. I actually did a platinum strategy and a journey with it. So if you kind of want a little bit more of a guide, you can kind of go for the strategy, and I've got a journey which kind of delves into my thoughts on the platinum itself. There's not really much to it. People kind of like brand this like, you know, DLC, and I respect that. It's a perfectly valid opinion. I don't think games need to be long to be good though. I just don't. And people can see value wherever they see value, and that's fine. I was perfectly happy to pay the price that I paid for this game. It wasn't full price, it wasn't massively discounted either. I got this for what I thought was a perfectly reasonable price point, and I had such a great time with this. I actually think the story is so impactful, and it's all killer. There's no filler story in this one. If you want to just go from A to B and just play through the story, you've got like 4 or 5 hours. But it's 4 or 5 hours that you're like, this is probably one of the better Marvel stories that has been told. For me, anyway, I really got into the characters a lot, and I really like the dynamic. I suppose for me, like the characters, the world building, particularly like where they were situated in New York. I love that atmosphere. You know, when Miles walks around his sort of home area, and it's just a community, and you really feel that. And I just thought it was a bit special. And it is a Christmas game, so it's a good one to play around Christmas time. But again, for me, like, you know, it was an easy platinum trophy list, very casual game. I wouldn't say this is like, you know, shovelware or anything like that. It's a casual plat, ZXL. It's a casual plat, okay? Moving on to the next one. This is the game that I started streaming after Ghost of Tsushima, and it was Horizon Forbidden West. For me, this was... I couldn't really make up my mind whether or not I really like this or not. Visually, this game is stunning. The world is beautiful. And again, for me, I don't like open worlds, and this was an open world. This was huge. Huge world. But I think that's its strength. I really like the diversity of the world, what it brings. Like the grassy verges, the sort of hot desert sands, the sweeping ocean, the underwater sections, the mountain ranges that are there. There's so much to kind of like get you into the game, and obviously the different levels and areas it takes you to, I think are just so diverse that it kind of works. I didn't particularly massively like the NPC characters are awesome. I actually agree with that. Particularly like the team that Aloy like deploys. I think my problem is the story, like Aloy and her story. I don't I didn't really latch onto it as much as I felt like I should have done, like I did in the first game. Like I like Aloy as a character, but I didn't really feel that connected to that kind of particular like situation that she was in. It just felt a bit off. I don't know. I don't really know what to make of it, and I wasn't really fulfilled at the end of it, if that makes sense. It was a really empty experience for the most part. But for me, like exploring the world, and I liked the side quests more than the main quest. You know, kind of like, I'm trying to remember some of the characters' names, but the dude with the missing arm, and you're kind of like going on missions to then replace it. I dug that. I dug things like that. I thought that stuff was really great. And that's what really kind of got me into the game a little bit more, was more the side characters. I particularly like Val. Again, I don't want to spoil anything because the game's not really massively old yet. It's just under a year old. So I don't want to spoil anything what kind of happens. But, you know, I really latched onto him. I thought he was a very cool character. And yeah, there you go. So next up, I'm going to bundle these together. They were kind of separate, sort of, but I'm going to bundle these together. And I actually got into the Spyro games. And I platinumed 1 and 2. I still have 3 to play, so maybe that's for next year. But it's my first experience with Spyro. I kind of got recommended these games, and I just dived in, and it had a fantastic fun. And my daughter really likes Spyro as well. I mean, it's a purple dragon. Who doesn't like purple dragons? You know, she just likes going around the opening area, just, you know, breathing fire, because the enemies don't attack. So she can just run around and just like fly about, and, you know, she can just do things in there, and she enjoys playing that sort of stuff. So it was a really win-win, like, for me, because I could play it with her, and we could kind of do that. And the platinum, I mean, the platinum's not difficult. There's just a lot of stuff to miss. It's kind of, there's no like reason to kind of, you have the 100%, obviously all the gems and that, but you don't have to like do everything. You kind of have to do these extra bits within the levels, if that makes sense, to kind of get the platinum. So you have to be really paying attention to the list. You have to kind of keep checking it and going back in again to kind of, oh, I'll go to that level and do this thing. And it doesn't really coincide with anything else that's going on within the confines of the game. So it's one of those lists where you just have to be very aware of it and actually like keep checking and going back again, which is a bit of a drag. It kind of pulls you out of the experience, having to keep checking lists and stuff to kind of see what you need to do. But all in all, they're really fun experiences and definitely amazing platform games. Definitely recommend them if you're kind of into little platformers, particularly if, you know, things like Crash Bandicoot and, you know, Super Meat Boy and all that sort of stuff is like very difficult platinums. Spyro's are very nice and chill platinums. So again, very casual platinums. Okay, moving on to something that was kind of on a backlog, and then I kind of came back to it, and that's Ni no Kuni 2. So this is a game that I'm in two minds about what I feel about this game, because on the one hand, I actually really like it, but the side quests and the sort of the missions and the fetch quests and the constant fetch quests, it was just so irritating to me. It really was. Everything was kind of like, to get a thing, you need to get another thing and another thing to get another thing. It was always a rolling sense of getting items to get another item to get another item to then get the quest. And it was just, and they would ask you these random things that you're like, well, what's that? I remember one, it was a soctopus. I'm like, what's a soctopus? I don't know what that is. So I'm Googling, what's a soctopus? And then it's like, well, you get it from this bazaar, or you can go to this location. It's like, all right, okay, fair enough. I can go there, shall I? You know, it's just, I wanted to really like it, but I feel like some of the amount that you have to do post-game, like doing all the dungeons was really cool. Like doing the, I can't remember what the name of them was. The Dreamer's Maze, I think it was. Like, they were really good. I really enjoyed doing that, particularly the last one. Once you're kind of a high enough level, you can kind of get through there anyway. I didn't find it particularly difficult. It was just a bit long. And obviously a lot of the sort of monsters, they've been tainted monsters. They were really good as well. They were nice little hunts you can kind of go on to afterwards. But the fetch quests was just, it was just mind-numbing. But there you go. On to probably one of my favourite games I think I was playing this year, particularly on release, and that is Stray. Now, this game came out on the PlayStation Plus. It was a really awesome experience. Like, I just instantly fell in love with this cat. It was awesome. The platinum was pretty good. There's a couple of annoying trophies on there. There's a couple of things that can kind of block you from getting it. I know a couple of people had a little bit of a problem with the chase. I certainly did. I go on Twitter and it's like, oh, good on my first try, mate. Yeah, what are you talking about? And it's like, mate, it took me like 100 tries like to get this gold trophy, to not get this one thing to sort of touch you. And it is a little bit random. I feel like you can get a good run or a bad run, and it's just a bit of luck whether or not they actually just jump on you. It's a bit random. You know, people that are saying they got it on their first try, well done. But I think you got a little lucky. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And the sleep trophy, it's a bit pointless. I think that's a bit pointless. Just sleeping for an hour. It's just idle time. It's a nice sentiment, but I think like a minute is just ample time. Like just go and sleep somewhere for a minute is just that's enough. We don't need an hour. We don't need an hour. I remember doing the 2-hour speedrun. I was actually on chat with some of the Platpad guys. If you don't know, go over to the Platpad and go and sign up over there. It's a really fun community. We were chatting over on the Platpad and I was just on the edge of my seat trying to get the 2-hour time. It's fine. It takes up a bunch of time for various cutscenes and things like that, so don't worry. You'll easily get it. Okay, this was one of the ones that was kind of... It was on the backlog. I didn't actually buy it. It was another PlayStation Plus game. Bugsnax. This was a real fun game. I had such a blast with this. This was incredible. Bugsnax is one of those games where you kind of get into it and you're like, what the heck is going on here? Like, this is just insane. But once you kind of get into it, it's so addictively fun. You really want to try and figure out all the puzzles and how to get all the Bugsnax. And the story is actually pretty engaging. And the end, like, you know, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exhilarating. It's you know, it's real good fun. Again, it's another casual plat. Again, I don't really get massively difficult platinums, as you can tell. But this is one of the funnest ones I think I had this year. I'd probably put this, just looking at my list here, it's probably the most fun I had on my platinum, I think. It was a good game. Okay, we've only got a few more left here now. The next game is Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. This game was super fun. The combat is actually, I quite liked it. I know some people sort of, it was a bit repetitive, and it is a little bit repetitive, just a little bit. But I actually found it really, really cool. I liked the kind of system of controlling the other Guardians. It makes things a little bit more simplified, and the strategy, you can kind of really hit the special moves when you want to hit them. Try and work out how to sort of like stun enemies and attack them in various patterns, and figure out the best way to try and take them down. But for me, this game is all about the story. And I think if you're looking at like what's the best story that I've probably played this year, I'm probably going to put it down to this one. I think the story was just super fun. It was so... it's one of those funny ones, isn't it? Where it's so charming. You really fall in love with the Guardians. I mean, they're such a great characters anyway. And the team ensemble is perfect. It is in the movies and it is here in the game. And they really replicate that feel of that camaraderie between them, but also that kind of tension that they kind of come off. It's amazing, fantastic. If you have not played this game yet, please go out on your way and, you know, give Eidos Montreal the cash to kind of play this game, because it is well worth your time. The platinum itself is not too bad. It did bug on me though. The collectible one bugged on me. You only need to get, according to the sort of like the wiki and like the trophy guide, 65% for each collectible guide, right? Most of which you'll get through natural progression, but the actual items, they're the ones you need to make sure that you pick up on a playthrough, because there's no chapter select or anything like that. Well, there is, but it doesn't carry over your thing. The only reason we want to use that particular for trophies is for combat related trophies. Try and go back to do various special monsters again, because that's another thing, is you have to make sure that you know what fights to look for to get a certain move, and it's kind of RNG related. They could be a little bit tedious and annoying, but if you restart it and try and get the right person to do the special, it just takes a few goes, hopefully, and you better get it. But the collectibles one, I had to basically replay the game all over again. And I had to get up to chapter 9. I think it was 9. I had to go to, I think it's a place called Nowhere, where you have all the money, the vending machines. And the first time you go there, you don't spend any money because you don't want to, because you need to pay the fine, right, for a trophy. So the second time I go back there, I think it's in chapter 6, I then purchase everything that I could purchase. But then you can't, one of the items, which I think is for Gamora, I think it's one of the vending machine ones that you kind of win. It's for her. You can't cash that in until chapter 9 when you're back on the ship, and then you can interact with her and it gives you the item. And that's when I popped the trophy, and it was the last opportunity that I could get it, because I had every other collectible in the game. Everything was 100% apart from that one thing. And it was just, I was banking on this thing just getting the trophy, and it did, thankfully. But there we have it. Okay, we're on to some Final Fantasy now, the main event. So I've actually been streaming some Final Fantasy X. I've been spending a lot of time playing Final Fantasy X this year. In fact, quite a lot of time playing Final Fantasy X this year. I've done 2 full playthroughs of it. I've done one playthrough that I did kind of off of camera. That's the one that I actually got the platinum on, because I was actually grinding out the sphere grid. If you're very familiar with it, it's a big grid. You need to kind of go around and have a look and fill everything in. And I did another playthrough on stream, which again, you can go and check out if you really want to. If you want to check out my Final Fantasy X playthrough, it's over there. But I've just been a bit of a Final Fantasy X binge this year, and I've absolutely loved it. I think this is one of my favourite games of all time. It's a classic. It's such a beloved title for me and for a lot of people, and this was definitely one of those that I just wanted to spend a lot of time back in, and I was determined to get the platinum trophy for this. This is probably my most proudest platinum that I've got this year, definitely. It's a long one, because I think my clock timer was about 120 hours or something like that, I think, for the actual main playthrough that I did. This was so rewarding for me. I have never, and I've owned this game since day one, like since back on the PS2 days, the day it came out, I got it. I have never in my life been able to defeat a single Dark Aeon, ever. I haven't even really tried to kind of grind my way up there. But this was the first playthrough that I was like, okay, we're doing the platinum and we need to get ourselves through this. So I was super proud of myself, because I was able to kind of go further in that experience, and it was just because of a platinum trophy. And I think for me, that's where platinum trophies really kind of come into their own. They really inspire us to try and do a little bit more into the games and go a little bit further than just finishing the game. And it was a great experience, and I streamed all of that. So again, Dark Aeons, I did all those live on stream. So you can kind of check out my experience there. I've got videos on Penance and Nemesis, getting the platinum trophy. It's all there. You can kind of go watch those videos. They're all there for you to go and experience. But getting this platinum, oh man, it meant so much to me. It's one of my favorite games, and I was super chuffed to get it. Okay, the last platinum that I got this year was actually an interesting experience for me, and I'm going to share something with you, because I've been working with Final Fantasy Union for a few months now, and I was able to kind of get Crisis Core a little bit early as a reviewer. Now, it's not me that's actually reviewing the game, it's Final Fantasy Union that's reviewing the game, but I was in charge of getting all the footage. So I got all the footage from the review copy, and we used that for our reviews. So that's what we're kind of a process that we were looking at doing. And I actually got that copy, able for us to be able to do streams of it as well. So we got permission through Square Enix and through Final Fantasy Union for me to be able to do that. And it was very nice of them to be able to let me kind of show off this game and try and help promote it in the build to its launch, because this is a fantastic title. I've never played Crisis Core. I had a PSP, but back then I wasn't really into the PSP that much. I didn't really play too many games on it. I had a little bit of football and just some pick up and play stuff, but Crisis Core just wasn't on my radar. I just didn't really kind of go for it. I don't know why. I loved Final Fantasy back in the day, but just never really thought about it on my handheld. But this is definitely like Square's best remaster. This is a fantastic game. The graphics are incredible. The character models look lovely. The world is gorgeous. The gameplay is super fun. Some of the tweaks they've made, particularly the Buster Sword sort of style battle stance, is a really nice addition. The mission structure, although it can seem a little tedious at times, I actually really dug it. I liked the kind of grind of going in and finding loot and treasure and building up your character and, you know, making your way through the missions. I found that really, really fun. The story is awesome. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything because the game's only been out for, you know, a month or so, not even that. But I really recommend it. Story's about 15 hours. I do want to do some videos a little bit more in depth about the Final Fantasy. I've got a couple of plans going forward. I'm going to share those in a little bit. But for me, this is well worth your time, particularly, especially if you're a Final Fantasy 7 fan or even just a Final Fantasy fan in general. Go out your way. But if you're not, this is a really cool sort of like single player sort of action, sort of, I say action RPG, because it's very real time. You know, you're hacking and slashing and you're using abilities, and the way that you kind of build the character, it's very customizable. It's really, really cool. And I highly recommend you going out your way for this one. So there we have it. That was my gaming in terms of platinum trophies. So what have we got planned really for 2023? Well, in terms of the channel, we're going to keep on streaming. We're currently streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that's the PS5 stack. So we're playing through hard mode right now. So again, there's episodes up on the channel. You can go and check those out. Or, you know, if you're new here, do subscribe and, you know, press the sort of notification bell. That kind of gets you alerted every time I go live or when a video kind of pops up for you. We're not going to be doing too many videos, but my plan is to do a little bit more of them. Particularly if I can kind of like do them sort of down here. I'm kind of downstairs today. Normally I'm upstairs, but we should be able to kind of get a little bit more recording done this way. I've got an idea going forward with the Platinum Journeys. So I've had a bit of a think about how I want to kind of take them to the next level. There's a lot of editing involved in how I used to do them, and they took a long time to edit. They were a real kind of project to kind of do, and it really kind of detracted away a lot from the gaming time and other things I need to do. And I think the way that I'm looking at moving forward with them is in the style of a podcast. So I'm going to take the same sort of themes from the Platinum Journey videos that I do. So I want to sort of take a look at some development and my general feelings on the game in terms of its launch. We're going to look at the trophy list as a whole and what it looks like in terms of difficulty and all this sort of stuff. And then we're going to look at the journey itself in terms of playing the game, our thoughts on the game and how we obtained the trophies and how we got there. And I want to do it with sort of guests, other social media sort of influencers, streamers, that sort of thing, and have a little bit of back and forth between that. And I want to try something a little bit different, a little bit new. So why don't you let us know in the comments if that's something that you think, you know, what your thoughts might be with that. If you've got any suggestions, if you want to be a part of it, you know, you can kind of just get in contact with me. I've got people in mind for various projects at the moment. But if you're particularly kind of into various games, we can definitely kind of have a bit of a conversation about that and see if we can kind of get you on to do something with us. In terms of streaming schedule, we're going to be sticking relatively to the same. We're going to be obviously sticking with Final Fantasy 7 at the moment, but I do have plans for Final Fantasy 9. The channel is probably more going to be centered around the Final Fantasy branding because of just, again, my personal preference. But because a lot of the work that I'm doing around it, I've got plans for potentially like pixel remasters when they come out in the springtime, which is going to be a little bit later on this year. We've then got FF16, we've got 7 Rebirth, so we've got a lot to kind of look forward to through this year. So I think in terms of major coverage, that's where I'm going to be leaning in towards, is kind of looking at that sort of, looking at kind of pushing those kind of games. and kind of playing those on stream, because that's what I enjoy playing, and I'd like to kind of like experience that with you guys. And I think that's kind of where my audience relatively is. But I'd like to just sort of like do the Platinum Journey podcasts, and they can kind of branch out and do various other games and bits and pieces as well. Okay, so that is going to bring us to the end of this video. I'm going to toast a can of Brewdog. We're going to see in the brand new year here. Hang on. Very tasty. We're bringing in 2023. I wish you all a very prosperous and platinum trophy heavy 2023. I don't have any goals. I'm not going to set any this year because I'm not going to set myself up for disappointment. And I'm just going to play games, be happy, maybe tackle some backlog. I've got a few games on the back line that I want to get to. There's a few Final Fantasies that I want to try and make sure I get platinum trophies for. But I'm not going to set anything in stone. But anyway, guys, I hope you had a good time. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm This Dad's Platinum Journey. Have a wonderful day and keep hunting those trophies. Goodbye.